You're listening to Beyond Orders, a podcast about military spouses who are done shrinking themselves to fit someone else's story. Hosted by Michelle Penzak, CEO of Squared Away.
Thank you for joining Beyond Orders. We are the podcast where we dive into the stories of military spouses who are redefining resilience, leadership, and purpose far beyond the uniform. Today, I'm super honored to sit down with Lauren Cecora, a 16-year Air Force spouse who has faithfully supported her husband through nearly 2 decades of service as he approaches military retirement. She's a devoted mom to 2 daughters, a dedicated homeschool parent, and someone who has built her life on adaptability, faith, and intentional living. Lauren's journey through motherhood and military life wasn't without its struggles. In fact, her personal battle with postpartum challenges became the foundation of her published book, Past-Partum. I know I said that awfully, which has offered countless mothers both hope and practical guidance. Since then, she's redefined her approach to parenting by grounding her family's values in Christ and embracing nature-based learning through the 1,000 Hours Outside movement. Our conversation is all about reinvention, what it means when life shifts, service transitions, and when motherhood and marriage require a fresh perspective. Lauren, it's so good to have you.
I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be able to chat with you today.
Oh, I'm so excited to dig in with you. So before I asked you to be on the podcast and to join me, I had no idea that you had published a book. That's incredible.
It's like my little hidden secret. It's not something that in the beginning I widely publicized it, but the more time that passes, it's not something that I generally share in like an open conversation.
Oh, it's like that fun fact about me that you get to share.
Yeah.
That people might not necessarily guess.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that. So tell me a little bit about what inspired you to write a book.
Yeah, so my first daughter was born while my husband was deployed in Afghanistan, and that whole deployment was topsy-turvy. He was originally supposed to be on a different deployment. That deployment got canceled. Then we got pregnant, and then they re-brought the deployment sort of back up. And we were kind of given 2 timelines of, okay, he's got to go away for several months of training, and then it's a 6-month minimum deployment. And so do we want him to go now while I'm entering my last trimester of pregnancy? Or do we want to wait until potentially closer to our daughter's birth? But that would ensure that he would miss all of those first holidays and things of that nature. And so we had decided, let's just go now. And then that way you're for sure home for Thanksgiving, Christmas, for sure first birthday, all of those sorts of things. And I think postpartum rocks a lot of first-time moms. And we went in really positive, feeling like we had a good game plan in place. We had hired a birth doula and a postpartum doula to make sure that I was like supported. I had great maternity leave coverage with my full-time job at the time, where I was fully paid for up to 4 months. And then California had an additional 12 weeks of bonding leave that you can take. So we felt like it was set up really well. And going into it, we had certain expectations that did not translate into reality. And so I had really severe postpartum depression after my daughter was born, coupled with my husband not being there. We had some family struggles and support wasn't exactly where we needed it to be, which contributed to a lot of my internal dialogue not being healthy. And so I was kind of silently suffering for a while, and one day my doula came over and she kind of noticed some pretty big red flags, and she asked when my next midwife checkup was. and said, I would
Mhm.
definitely bring these concerns up to your midwife. And so when I brought them up to my midwife, she was really quick to action and kind of set up like a plan in place. And so as I started to kind of talk openly about, this is what I'm experiencing, this is how I'm feeling, this is what my midwife has kind of prescribed in terms of ways to kind of get myself out of it, this is what the therapist that I'm seeing has kind of talked about, I found myself kind of in this circle of a lot of women that felt really, really similar. And they thought that it was just normal. They were like, I thought every mom just experiences this. And I was like, well, I don't know if every mom experiences this or experiences it on some sort of level. But when I started talking to people, this is not how postpartum was supposed to look. And so
Right.
I just kept getting asked so many times for, what are you doing? What are your action steps and things like that. And so I wrote the book from more of that perspective, like, okay, here's my story and here's kind of where I am. But then this is what I did to kind of pull myself out of it. And so it got rave reviews. And to my knowledge, I still have some people that are like, oh, I had a friend who had a baby and I gave him a copy of your book. And I'm like, oh my gosh, people are still buying my book. So, yeah.
That's
So,
incredible. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. I cannot imagine how helpful that has been to so many people, because I struggled with postpartum depression with my oldest, and I think I thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought something's wrong with me. I don't have the feelings that other moms are having with having a new baby. Like, it was really, really hard, and I felt guilty because
Yeah.
I had those feelings. And knowing what I know now, that was postpartum depression, and I could have, I guess, advocated for myself a little bit better when it came to that, but I thought it was normal.
Yeah.
It's so normalized in a lot of ways, and everybody thinks brand new baby, you're excited, you're happy, a little sleep deprived, but there's so much that's going on emotionally, and you know, all the hormones at that
Yeah.
point are raging, doing all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah. And I feel like as military spouses too, the majority of us are not blessed to be within driving distance of family, of any family, right? Like not a sibling,
Mhm.
not maybe a cousin that you're close with, not even parents. And so then when you add in distance, where you're trying to raise children and distance is a factor, and then you add in TDYs or deployments or night shift or anything else, right? That into it, I feel like it overcomplicates things, and it really, then you're just kind of thinking, well, thousands of other women have came before me and they've done with much worse, right? Like my grandmother
Yeah.
was was a Navy wife, and her husband was underway for months at a time, and she's like, I didn't even hear from him for a year and I would name the babies myself. And you think, thousands of women have done this before me. I'm just maybe crying wolf, or I'm being a little melodramatic about things. And that's not the case at all with
Oh
postpartum
man.
issues.
No, not at all. And I'm so glad that you and so many others are digging into it and actually sharing that this is a problem. This is something that we can help women with after birth. And I'm gonna have to go get your book. That's incredible.
I think you can read it for free on Kindle. I think it's like one of those, because it's the Amazon I did
Mhm.
self-publishing and whatnot. So I think you can read it for free on Kindle. So
Oh, amazing. We're gonna have to tell our team this. I don't think most people know you have a
I don't
book.
think
That's
anybody on the team
incredible.
probably knows.
Fun fact about Lauren that we're gonna share. Um, so that leads me to, what brought you to Squared Away
Yeah.
in all
So
of your challenges?
yeah. So after a year after my first daughter was born, I was blissfully laid off. Not to my husband. I loved my job and I had a wonderful boss and I had a wonderful community, but our corporate office went through this whole restructuring and over 600 of us were laid
Mhm.
off. And I was thrilled because I felt like I needed to be home with my baby and I wanted to be there for her. And it took a while for my husband to get on board. He eventually saw the light in that sense. And shortly after that, around when my daughter was 4, we PCSed overseas to Germany, and I was pregnant with our second. So another perfect blessing. Can't work really in Germany unless you're going to work on base, because I didn't have the proficiency tests and things. So I was just living that stay-at-home mom life up, and we had a great community, and we really thrived overseas, and we got sent back stateside, which was more to our detriment. We were not excited about being sent back stateside. Most people, they're like, "Oh, I've missed so many things." That was not us. We were kind of the polar opposite. And
Oh, I've been trying to get to Germany for years at this point.
recommend. Yeah, it was such a blessing to us and our family, and we assimilated really, really well into the European culture, and we made lifelong friends over there. And so when we came back stateside, it was a huge culture shock. We definitely had that reverse culture shock happen. But then when we sat down and we got our first real paycheck after, they clear everything away and they fix all of the housing allowance, where they've maybe overpaid you or underpaid you, and all of that TLF funding that comes through, we kind of looked at everything and we were like, we cannot afford for me to just live a glorified stay-at-home mom life. And it wasn't that we were living beyond our means. We had decided to live in an RV. So we were living well below our means.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it was...
You were like my hero. I had no idea. That I have seen people on Instagram doing that, and I'm like, I would camp alone in a tent before I sleep in an RV with my children.
Yeah, we were. We bought an RV like 2 weeks after we landed in the U.S., and we were living in an RV at a campground, and we were like, there's no way that we can make ends meet for just basic necessities unless I start to pick up something. But then the struggle became finding something that I could do that gave me the flexibility between driving. My oldest at the time was attending a half-day school run by the German government here in the United States. Really weird, small world sort of thing. And so she was released at 12:30 every day from school, which is not a typical American school time. And then my 4-year-old at the time, who's now 5, was home with me full time, so then there's also that piece of it where what can I do where I don't have to put both of my children in full-time care, or an after-school care for one and then full-time care for another, and how can I work and add value to our family financially? And so I had put out kind of a cry for help, I guess, on social media, and a girlfriend of mine was like, I have a friend who works for this company that seems super pro military spouse. So she kind of connected us over Facebook Messenger, and I asked her a bajillion questions about the company, and then she eventually sent me the application stuff, and then you guys hired me. So the rest is history.
Oh, man. I'm telling you what, we have one of the best communities ever. And I tell people that all the time. I was actually on a podcast the other day, and I was like, people are sleeping on our community, because I feel like if you just put all of us in the White House, we could run the world and make it incredibly efficient and resourceful. We've got this. And it's very much we take care of each other, and we kind of, where there's not a path, we might have to wedge one ourselves, or find one of the saltier spouses that has gone before us.
Yes.
And navigate that path. And it's so incredible how we come together in that regard. And that's one of the things that I love the most. What has been your experience working with clients at Squared Away? Especially with such a dynamic background.
Yeah, I feel like I've had a wide myriad of clients. My very first client that I got matched with Connections had hired me as a second assistant for basically an assistant to one of his assistants. And so the woman never wound up answering a single email, and I wound up talking with the other Squared Away assistant to because nobody was responding to anything. To come to
Right.
find out, he thought this woman was using me and he was paying for this plan and she wasn't ever using me. And so he dropped my plan, obviously, and upgraded the other assistant's plan, which I felt like was great for her, because I wished I could have been of a help, but it was just kind of one of those, you just didn't know, right? Like, he didn't know what he didn't know
Yeah.
at the time, and he felt terrible. He was like, I'm so sorry. This whole time I thought somebody had been communicating with you and you were just kind of left. And then I got
Oh
matched
gosh.
with a couple of other clients. One I regretfully let go of to increase hours with another client that I regret ever working with. So I've kind of had like the myriad, like, you never, hindsight's always 2020. And so at the time I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I can see the growth potential with this one, but this one doesn't really seem to be using me. And now I'm like, man, I should have kept that other one and never gone with this this other one. But I think I'm in a sweet spot right now with clients. I really like the ones that I have right now. They're really kind. They seem to be open to different types of skill sets and different types of ways that I can like help them and elevate their business. And I have one client where he just says, you know what? I trust you. Just do it. And he's like, you don't even need my permission. And I'm like, well, no, this is your business. I'm not going to do anything. And he was like, okay, we can continue to do this song and dance, but really just whatever you want to do to elevate it, just do it. You don't need my permission. And I'm like, no, this is still
I think I know which client that is, and
Yeah.
he is a gem.
Yeah, I love him. He's one of my favorites. And he tells me all the time, he's like, you keep us sane. He's like, we're going to have to make like a cartoon of you about how you like wrangle all of us. Like, that's not.
Oh my gosh. They are quite a pair,
Yes.
that those clients. But it's so cool to see how the relationships form with the most random clients out there
Yeah.
that you would be like, oh no, I don't know if I'm going to like working for them. And then you're like, they are the best people. I
Yeah.
love them so much. And they love me and they show me appreciation. And, you know, there's definitely some people that, are not the best client fit for us. But it's also, if you're in the business of taking care of people and needing someone to help you, that's exactly what we're here for.
Yeah.
What has been one of the best learning experiences for you while you've been at Squared Away?
Oh, I will have to say that my biggest learning experience has been holding boundaries. I am not the greatest at holding boundaries. I am a worker bee. So if you give me a task, I want to do it and I want to do it right now. I want to drop everything that I'm working on and I want to complete it and I want to complete it better than what you're expecting it. So I hold myself to a really high standard. But I was losing my family in the process. Not like fully, right? But my children were suffering. They were not getting the attention that they deserved. I was letting things go around the house that I had been keeping up with for 9 years without any issue. And my family was just kind of suffering. And I had to remind myself that this job is not my life. It is supposed to support my life. And I had to really lean in with the help of my team lead and my team lead manager on adhering to those response times, adhering to letting clients know, like, I can work on this project, but it might not be completed because of the time allotment that I have remaining for the day, or this is going to be a project that's going to take me several days because of the intensity of it, that I'm going to have to spread this out. And just adhering to those boundaries and sometimes just saying, I'm sorry, I know you need this ASAP, but unfortunately I have other work happening and I cannot drop what I'm doing to make this happen for you right now. And I think that the more I've learned to communicate it in a kind but firm way, the more respect that I've gotten, which was not what I was anticipating. I was expecting boundaries to more make people angry and for them to be frustrated and that to reflect poorly on my work ethic and to go back to leadership and basically have people say, no, that's it. Lauren's not a good fit. I want to drop her. I want somebody who's more flexible. But I found that it's the opposite. I feel like they actually respect me a little bit more, and they respect my time a little bit more, and they think a little bit more about the projects that they give me to make sure that they're giving me everything that I need within the time that they feel like it deserves versus everything kind of
Right.
last minute piling on and it not being the best that it could be, if that makes sense.
Oh, it definitely does. And I've joked with the team for years that some of our biggest policies and rules that squared away are based on me breaking them
Yeah.
in some capacity when I was trying to figure out, okay, how can I be a great assistant, but still maintain the fact that I'm a wife and a mom and I have responsibilities and, you know, the boundaries thing. We get clients occasionally that are like, well, I want my assistant to be available 24/7. And I'm like, there's AI options out there.
Yeah.
Good luck. Our team has a life outside of working, and I don't ever want our team to be like me and be canceling dinner reservations while I'm trying to give my kid a bath at night or trying to do bedtime prayers and make a call at the same time. That's not fair on either
Yeah.
side of the house. My family's not getting the best side of me. I'm getting burned out, and my client's not getting the best support from me either.
Yeah.
So, a lot of those rules are related to me breaking them in some capacity because if you burn the candle at both ends, it's not good for anybody and you're not filling your cup in any capacity. So that is one thing that I've found that clients are really open to that unless they're a not nice client, in which case we invite them to try other services out there. But they often I've seen it over the years where they'll take us putting boundaries in place and say something like, "Oh, totally forgot. Actually, I'm going to go do this with my kid right now." Or, "Actually, I'm going to go do this with my spouse." So it kind of is their own reminder that, okay, I can do more than work and I can be a part of my family during the work week. So it's been really cool to see people kind of take that on.
Yeah. I think you're right because one of my clients, he's an empty nester. And so anytime he calls me off guard, like if he calls and I am available, but like my kids happen to be making noise or something in the background, he's like, no, 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 I'll call you back. I'm like, no, no, you don't understand. They're playing. I'm doing work. Like it's fine. I said, but if it's the background noise bothers you, I can like step outside. And he was like, no, just enjoy the noise. I can't tell you how sad I am that like my house is quiet
Aw.
now and things like that. And so I feel like they're reminded of all of those things as well. And then he's like, there's nothing more important than your family. And so like I've had I unexpectedly my dad passed away the week I started with a client, and then I had another client that was longevity, and I was totally expecting my one client because he had a huge deadline to enact the emergency leave, and I said I really think it's in your best interest to enact this emergency leave, and he was like, get off your computer, go take care of yourself and your family, and he was like, and we'll be here when you get back. He was like, don't even think about it. And that meant a lot to me because I was like, I know this was sudden. It caught me off guard and it caught my clients off guard. And so it meant a lot when they kind of realized that there's more to life than just the business, right? And when you treat people
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I feel like your business thrives. When you treat people
Oh,
as
yeah.
humans, your business really thrives.
Oh, yeah. And I get that so much because last year when my dad was sick, right before he passed away, I was literally dropping my kids off at school and spending the entire day with my dad before going to pick them up. And um, one of the women I admire most in the world is Stephanie Brown. She started the Rosie Network. And before I ever started Squared Away, I followed her and I was like, she is just such one of those badass people out there. And I just love her and I don't even really know her. And she sent me an email um the Wednesday before my dad passed away completely out of the blue. And she said, "Hey, do you have time for a call?" And I was like, "Oh my God, Stephanie Brown is emailing me to get on a call." And I even told my dad, I was like, "Dad, Stephanie Brown emailed me to get on a call. Like, I don't even know what this is about." And he goes, "You take the call, take the call." And I got on a call with her and I kind of told her what was going on. And she was like, "This can absolutely wait. Go be with your dad. Email me when you're ready to talk because what I want to talk to you about is not going anywhere." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's even greater than I thought she
Yeah.
was." And um, that she had actually she had emailed me to offer me a board seat on the Rosie network. And I was elated because, that was such a fantastic honor. And at the same time, she's understanding and human and compassionate. And I was like, "Oh, hell yeah, I'm going to work with Stephanie
Yeah.
forever. This is amazing." Um, but
It makes you want
it
to
goes
do
to
it
show
more.
you, it makes you want to do it more. And just taking care of people and being a human is so easy. And I mean, people have heard me say it for years. It takes effort to be an asshole
Yeah.
to people. It costs nothing to be kind in any capacity. And hopefully that's something that spirals through our team most of the time.
Yeah, I would say that that's definitely more people are more kind than not. Unfortunately, you get a raw egg every once in a while
Oh
thrown.
yeah.
But I would say more often than not, like even when I've done coverage for people, their clients are just so sweet and they're so nice and they're just so thankful to even just have the help that it doesn't make it an imposition, especially when you're like, I'm covering somebody else's workload and I don't know what their expectation is. And I don't know if I'm even doing them due diligence. And I want to make sure that I'm doing the best and whatnot. And then when their clients are just so understanding and graceful about it, it just makes the whole experience 10 times better.
Oh, I could not agree more. I wish I could give out hugs to people so much and just be like, "Thank you. You are so appreciated." It's just something that I love so much. And I'm so honored that you're a part of our chaotic team at times, but hopefully it has been a good ride thus far.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it and I've shared it with a million people because I feel like it's so beneficial, especially the flexibility aspect. In this day and age, we're all so busy, right? We all have a million things happening in our personal life and things that we need to handle that whenever somebody says, I really need to make some money, but I really want to be able to still continue to put my family first, then I tell them all the time about this. And a lot of people say, well, I'm not a military spouse. And I said, that doesn't matter. Like, you don't have to be a military spouse to do it. Obviously, I feel like it fits us well because we're always moving around and traveling, and it's a job that we can take everywhere. I'm really looking forward to that with my husband going into retirement. I don't have to quit you guys to then find a new job when we move for my husband's retirement. And so I'm really thankful for that. And my husband is too, because he's like, wow, it's just seamless. Like you take off a week to move and then you're right back, right back at work with your clients.
Exactly. Oh man, you are gonna have to talk to Liz because every time I'm on a call with her, I'm like, "Okay, where in the world are you this week?" And because her home base is Alaska, but she could be in Peru or New Zealand or something. So it's really cool that she's able to do that she did that as an assistant. And she's doing that now as a manager, which is really cool. So I live vicariously through her. I'm sure
Yeah.
she has some good tips.
Oh, I'm sure she does. She's probably a wealth of information.
I know I told her she needs to make a blog and just
Yeah.
start teaching people how to do that. That would be incredible. Oh, so I got to ask you the question that I ask everybody.
Yeah.
What does reinvention mean to you?
So I feel like I reinvent things a lot, probably to my detriment, but also to my success. I am somebody when somebody tells me no or it can't be done, I say, oh no, there's always a way. So for me, it's more Reinvention is more hitting roadblock after roadblock after roadblock and refusing to accept that as the finality of it. And instead finding even the slightest sliver in which you can start to kind of push through to change it, that just kind of cascades after that. And I feel like our lifestyle sets us up really well for that. There's a lot of things that the military or our military systems like TRICARE, they say it cannot be
We
done.
pick on TRICARE so much here, so they're coming for us at some
Right?
point.
And so things like that they say it cannot be done. And I'm like, no, there is always a way. And I think that this is where my faith gets really big, because I believe that miracles can happen, and I believe that God is in control of everything. And so if I just leave it over to him, the how he figures out. And it always blows my mind because it's not anything that I would have ever seen happening. It's not a way that I would have ever imagined was possible. It truly is something where you say, there's no way that that can be real. And you're like, no, that's actually how it happened. And so that's kind of what I lean into it, is that as long as I keep showing up, doing the work, the how will work itself out all on its own. And it's not anything that I have to control.
I love that you said that so much. And I got to tell you this story.
Yeah.
So when we first started, or probably, I think it was the second year, but I had done this without even really realizing it until the second year. Jordan in sales would call me and be like, we don't have any leads right now. Like, we only have like 5 leads right now. And she would start doing the Jordan spiral that she's so famous for. And I would literally just calm her down and say, you know what? It's okay. We're going to work through it. It'll be fine. And then I would sit at my desk and I would just bow my head and say, Lord, this is what we're doing. Point us in the right direction. If it's your will that we continue, great. If it's not, great. Just help us figure out the steps forward. I kid you not, Lauren. Within 24 hours, our calls would triple every single time. And at first I thought it was crazy. And then I was like, this is not a coincidence at all. And so every time we got to a roadblock, I was just like, all right, Lord, if we're going forward, you just show us the way. And every single time he's shown a way. And there hasn't been a way that we haven't been able to figure anything out before. So I'm like, squared away is in God's hands.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. And I mean, I think all he's waiting on is just for us to ask, right? Like that's all he wants, is for us to be present with him, to be grateful for everything that he's given us, and to be like, you know what? I trust you. I trust you at the end of the day. And I think that that was really hard for me with this move, is to trust that there was a plan in place, because we were so unhappy with this move and coming to where we are. It wasn't just that we left a great duty station. I know that most military spouses can relate to that, but then our whole life, I felt like, got turned upside down. And I was like, why would you remove us from something we were so happy in and then dump us here in the middle of nowhere? And, completely opposite of like where we came from, at a base that's really difficult career-wise and all of these things, and needing to go back to work. Like, I feel called to be home with my children. And it was like God was just there that whole time, just being like, just trust me. Like, there's a plan for everything. Yes. Like, just trust me. And so when I finally stopped fighting it and feeling like I had to be the one to make all the decisions and make all the plans, then things just kind of seamlessly fell into place. And I was like, wow, I've been wasting so much energy and stress worrying about things that I literally have no control over. And this is so much more enjoyable.
Oh, yes.
Now.
That resonates so much with me, because I'll get to a point, because I'm ultra type A, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. And I'll get in my own head, and then I'm like, Lord, I know you're just waiting for me to say, you've got this. I know. I'm getting there. I'm getting to that realization, and I know I'm just stubborn. So bear with me. And Yeah, and then once you give it away, it's like a boulder is
Yeah.
just lifted off of your body, and you're like, "Why am I so stubborn? And why did
Yeah.
you not just do this before?"
I know. I would have saved myself so many sleepless nights and stress and
Yes,
anxiety, raised cortisol levels to.
exactly. Why did I do this to myself? Oh man, no, I love that. And I love that you're so open about sharing your faith. I know not everybody is always open to doing that, but I really love that. And it really resonates with me. So thank you so
Yeah.
much.
I'm happy. I'm honestly happy too. I've had a lot of really wonderful mentors in my life, and I've wanted to be more bold and just open with it in an organic way, not in a like pushy way, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And I think that works out best when you have stories to tell, right? Because when you have a story, people relate and they recognize and they feel as though they're living it with you. People love stories. You can change so many things with stories.
Yes, you absolutely can. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for joining me and sharing just all of your awesomeness with everybody. I'm so excited to share your episode. Um, but yeah, we'll have to have you back again
Thank
soon.
you. Thank you. It was such an honor. I'm so grateful.
Oh, no, the pleasure is all mine because we would not be here without you guys, and you're what makes us tick every single day. Because trust me, I am not organized enough to do everything that 400 plus of you do every single day. All right, my dear. Well, thank you again. And thank you all for listening to Beyond Orders. Be sure and check us out in all of our amazing episodes on wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, y'all.